Or
It does.
2021 maybe.
Yeah, a number of years ago, we got so used to seeing this support matchup that it's just kind of stuck in the back of our heads. But actually, most of the time, it's been you know, a lot of Renata before that point. Probably a bit more of the Lulu. Of course, Yumi's come and gone as well, and is back on the ban table once again. What we have now with these compositions coming in, though, is quite a dangerous combo coming in from NIP, where they have a lot of very good poke, where you have something like an Ephemeral Assault adding into a burst combo from very long range. You have Maokai and Jace. That's a combo we've seen an awful lot through Spring. And you have good side lanes. So I think what this game is going to come down to is Anyone's Legend trying to find a way to group up and stop that side lane of the Gnar and the Jace really taking over before things really start falling apart. They need to start grouping up and use that Jinx as their power point.
Well, we'll see if they can. The Jinx, in my mind, one of the strongest champions in the game currently. I feel like there's a lot of champions that are being talked about as being incredibly overpowered, but when it comes to team fighting later on, for my money, Jinx wins that 100% of the time against the Phelios. The range advantage just feels so strong a lot of the time, but like you say, the Jace can be the difference maker when it comes to that range advantage. If he can get the poke down, Maokai could close the gap, Nautilus could close the gap. There will be pressure towards Anyone's Legends AD carry as we head into game number 1 on Summoner's Rift. Get this matchup underway.
I completely got jump scared by that horse. I didn't know that skin had that one. It's like, oh, hi there, friend.
I mean, it wasn't that scary. I don't know if jump scare is the phrase.
I like to think it's kind of like a bit more of a vague term now, jump scare. Are you actually scared, or is it just like an exclamation of shock? Either way, you know, language is a wonderful thing.
Here on AL, replacing Pinz today. To see what he could bring to the table. He's got the Nico. I'm hoping for a big game as he goes for the flash. But Angel reads the play, flashes himself, gets out to safety. Perhaps could have waited for showdown to go in first there.
Maybe, but I think I think the engage rage might have been a little too long. See that IP though, despite the fact that Pop Blossom's been used and the fact that they managed to get Invincible down to this Herald early, have not managed to find themselves onto the Herald after that point. It's reset, but now Xiaohao has the angle.
Here we go, behind enemy lines, Invincible has to jump away. Shadow, the next target, is there comes Nico, and Harder finds himself first blood. Invincible wants to answer, but I don't think he can 1v3 this. The rest of the team is not coming, he's Mega Gnar, but that would be full-on 1v3 as Nautilus in the mid lane alongside Angel cracking the way.
Very early into the game. Going back into this replay though, it's very important to realize that despite the fact that Jace survives, Jace has no impact on this fight. You don't have a Shock Blast coming in, you don't have a big Maokai ultimate coming in. And NIP feels like after that Herald reset, why are you still here? It feels like they just overstay and they get punished for it.
Despite the Herald being taken on the top side by NIP, we don't see that traded for an AD carry getting 5 plates to the bottom side as AL really
watch for the Maokai ult, there might be a fight here.
Photic's over the wall with red and white. This could be good for Photic if he can find the target. Zora the target for now. Moonlight Vigil. That'll be one for the Aphelios. In the meantime, Shadow walking away with his life. Doesn't have his ult available. Already used that one, and the rest of the team there for AL. Perhaps needs to back off a little bit quicker.
See the starts of it right now. Significant CS advantage, significant plate advantage too. But at the cost of that, you're losing on the bot side of the map. This was the kind of awkward moment when you realize actually you're in a choke point against a Maokai, and despite the fact that Shadow has no flash and is a little bit behind, this is not the kind of terrain you want to be fighting on. And for a brief moment, NIP do get some advantages.
Yeah. It's the second that ZDZ starts channeling that TP.
It's a little bit awkward for them, but they would love to find themselves some of that form, which has gone amiss for the last split or two. Coming around to the second dragon, they have ults, they have summoners. What can they do? They also have themselves first into the river. Can they protect that position with Maokai ult? That's going to be the most important thing.
Remember, AL got the first Drake here, so this would only be one for NIP if they get it. Pull in onto Zora. He's down before the fight even begins here. The roots across the team as well, but here comes Xiaohao to turn it around, and in the meantime, Pop Blossom for Hardest alone. He's gone so deep for the Pop Blossom, but no follow-up from the team whatsoever. And that means a double kill for Photic as well as a Drake.
Use that Mega Gnar to his own advantage. That's one half of the fight. When you look at the other half, though, it's just completely a miss from what Anyone's Legend were trying to do as a team. As we were saying just before this, Photic and Shroud, they had a lot of tools available to them. They had the chakrams as well onto the Aphelios. Large amounts of damage, but look how these big plays are happening on the different sides of the fight. If they happen all in one place, awesome, but you can't split them apart like that.
Yeah. First off, great hook coming out from Draw. Draw just stands and tanks him, flashes out. Giga Chad Draw right there. As Photic, what was that? Just Gale forces in, has to flash straight back out. iBoy is caught alone at Raptors for some reason, as Invincible flings the ball back into the play. Zora flashes out, and it's an explosive fight, that's for sure. Like, sort of mispositioning, being a bit
ask
too
and you
confident.
shall receive. There's a Scion.
Look at this.
No, he's not disconnected. He's just a bouncer. And that does a really important thing of stopping ZDZ getting good range to deal with Photic. Photic then uses the safety that is support for him to do whatever that was. And in the retreat, things just get really split from AL. They are very fortunate. Invincible takes a couple of tower shots and at least delivers one kill back.
Yeah, Shahao kind of saving the day there, clones and cyclones.
And that's going to be a very difficult thing for them to contend with, because what does this team do? Besides that, they can engage in mid lane is what they can try.
Yeah, Photic Gale forces out. Can he survive? No. Good pickup by Shahao and Arda. Now the re-engages, the roots come across the team. Angel's here and certainly has damage to work with. Zora goes down 1-for-1 now. But it's AD carry for support. But AL blinking health bars. I don't really know if they can contest still.
That'll probably be their win condition. This is, you got to count your minions, folk. That's one more than there should be. One minion. Photic just about managed to buy enough space for a turnaround to come in, but he's just caught out on that wave in a way that everyone is doing so against Nico right now.
Yeah. I feel like there's going to be a turning point where people habitually count minions. And even in games where Nico isn't being played, people will be like, how many minions are in that wave? It's going to become a habit at some point. But I don't feel like we're there just yet. Oh, Zora. Whoa, that's, what, 3 auto attacks? And Zora through his W nearly goes down. Angel has to flash. Cyclone is there. The Rocket as well. But he walks away with his life. And that's good enough. Shock Blast in to set up a shutdown. But in the meantime, Photic's been caught. Shadow with a big play on the backside alongside Harder here. And Invincible now trying to clean up. ZDZ goes down. iBoy still going strong though, but not for long. Oh, the flash at the last second. Angel can't find the kill. It's real messy, but it still comes up NIP. Harder nearly finding himself a kill there.
You wouldn't understand. It's a side laning thing.
Hey, I'm a Yorick enjoyer. I've felt that feeling. Let's take another look at what happened onto Photic here. I think maybe just overestimating his safety is Harder. Really nice flash forwards.
Yeah, and they've been trying to catch this Aphelios so often, and they did manage to catch him in that last mid lane play. It just wasn't quite enough to see things through. Malcarol's been thrown again.
So kicked off. Invincible, the target jumps over the wall, will go down. Good advantage for AL. Can they turn it into more? Shadow the next target as iBoy starting to get these resets going. That's 2. ZDZ can't be taken down by Photic. He doesn't have the damage for that. It's Harder sending his clone to recall in the face of NIP. ZDZ almost going down here. Remember, the mid-tier 2, very low from earlier. NIP trying to threaten that, but AL having none of it, goes straight to the Baron.
It's the second act of the game. The Baron's alive. AL, like every other LPL team, knows that everything can turn around this Baron.
An attempt there. The Moonlight Vigil comes in. What is that damage? Angel arrives as well. It's 3v5, and NIP is somehow making it work. ZDZ will go down to Photic next, as Angel on the hunt here. Harder the target, and Angel goes in. One more auto would do the trick, and he finds it. Xiaohao now in a 1v1, and will get the shutdown. It's 3v2 on the map, I believe. No. 2 are over in the base. It's Drow and Photic on the scene of the Baron, as Shadow now re-arrives on the scene.
It's an absolute brawl. It's a bar fight. We've got some broken legs and some black eyes across the board. Angel's down, but he is the only member of NIP not present at that Baron. AL felt like they found an angle, but there's just way too much damage from the Jace and the Aphelios with all of their long-range bursty ultimates and combos to come into play. At least AL have an angle towards this dragon with the Hextech gates allowing them to get back out into the map. It means that there might at least be a contest, but they're still going to have to wait for their solo laners to arrive by foot because they don't have teleports.
Yeah, I don't think that this is something AL can actually go for, to be honest, because with the Hex gates there, NIP will be able to arrive And they have an 8,000 gold lead at this point. I feel like these fights have been way closer than they have any right to be. AL are fighting tooth and nail, but they are losing those fights tooth and nail. ZDZ, he's gone real deep on this one. Invincible just going to stack Meganar off of it. In fact, not even going to get any Meganar, just going to get a kill instead. But it bought space for the Dragon to be taken by AL. Was this intentional? I don't know, but hey, we'll take it.
Did anyone order Uber Eats? I think your delivery driver's here. That was a decision, and I understand the thought process of I'm just going to buy time for my team to get this Dragon. That's the most important thing. Not quite sure you need to give your life for it. So this is going back towards that Baron, though. AL, they found a couple of pickoffs before this. Again, they understand that the Baron that is the main objective. If you get that, you can change so much this gold deficit. But this Nico ultimate, as opposed to the last two, doesn't catch Photic. And then Photic does that, and Angel adds in the rest of the damage. You absolutely shred through those HP bars. Despite the fact that the jungler and the top laner are gone, the damage was still always on the board for NIP, and they shred them with it.
Yeah, like ZDZ going full zealot there. My life for Aya, or my life for the Dragon. Doesn't quite work, but now AL forced into the base. They're against the Baron. Whether they got the Drake or not, Angel is going to be able to get the tier 2 in the top side as he has just solo pressure there. And we'll get that increased gold, remember. It's like 600 not gold for that tower. Plus
as if Angel
gold.
wasn't doing enough damage already.
I know, he is.
The extra gold
real scary
definitely
on that
needed
Jace.
that.
I feel like Jace is one of those champions as well where when you think about Jace, you think of him as that like poke champion that likes a siege, likes an elongated standoff, right? But actually, when you get to like 3-4 items, yes, you do like that situation, but you can essentially function as an assassin as well in the right moment. When you go a hammer form, you really chunk.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of LeBlanc, because LeBlanc is a similar kind of thing. That poke goes from being half your HP to all of it. And at this point in time, NIP, they really don't need that much of an opening to land that damage. They're currently trying to play on multiple lanes. This might be an opportunity for AL to find themselves a clutch engage while NIP are moving between lanes. There was a moment while they're on all three. They've just kind of trimmed that down to 2 lanes, just mid lane and top lane. AL, they need to find an engage though. They're just getting whittled.
Hard as a minion. He's a caster minion. Will it work? Will he find his opportunity? His 7th game of LPL, and he wants to make the play. He's onto Photic. It works. The cleanse comes on through. Cyclone is there. Photic on the back line. Saved by Droll. But now Xiaohao turns golden. Invincible arrives on the scene. Shadow down. Both junglers down. Is now Droll tanking up. But Invincible's mega, and he finds 4 with his ultimate. Angel in the fray as well, but Photic can't get close to do damage. He's been abandoned. Invincible can't live up to his name.
And it's another Nico Jedi mind trick. These aren't the minions you're looking for. There's an extra caster in there, and they don't count the minions. Photic, once again, doesn't die to the Nico ultimate, but this time the chunk is large enough that there is 180 carry able to fight, and one which has to just run for the hills. NIP, despite their huge gold lead, cannot finish the game there, and they take themselves a teamfight loss.
And once again, these fights that have no right to be as close as they are. Look at the gold difference. It's almost 10,000 in favor of NIP. But every single team fight this game has been so close and so scrappy. I feel like if AL's macro was a little bit better, this would be a totally different game.
Absolutely. And again, this is one of the things which I've loved watching about this summer split, even though we're only a couple of weeks into it, of LPL. Every team, regardless if they're first place or 17th place right at the bottom, they understand you just need to take one good fight at the right point in the game and you can really turn things on their head. Gold difference be damned, a good angle is always a good angle. This is the angle which happens in that last fight. It's a minion trick, once again. Maybe they've fooled them by disguise themselves as a melee minion so much in this game that they weren't expecting the caster minion. You have to count all types, folks. And Harder lands himself a really good engage. Just the fact that Photic has to blow so much of his defensive potential going backwards, blows that ultimate onto a stopwatch as well, means that a lot of that gold difference in the 80 carries is just not apparent. One 80 carry is doing damage, the other one is.
And I feel like if NIP are just more on the same page here, they can walk away without Invincible going down. That can be a neutral fight, right? It's harder. That was a chunk and a half. It was actually a minion health bar, so that wasn't as big of a chunk as it looked like. But they could have walked away from that, but Invincible kind of going in as the rest of the team's going out, and Angel throws a shock blast, but It's really all he could offer. Svotic, Cleanse available as a QSS now as well. He knows that this Nico is a problem.
We are getting to the point where at least look, Sion's not going to be healthy if he gets hit by all the poke in the world, but he can tank those shock blasts a little easier than the rest of the team. As long as he can stand in front of Angel, block some of this, there's the chance that AL can find themselves in a position to fight.
Invincible turning into Mini Gnar here. AL could potentially push in, but look at the waves on both sides of the map. They are crashing into the base right now. NIP, they've sent Invincible to go get that third Drake for them as they go and contest vision around the Baron area. They don't want to give that up for free as Photic and iBoy on that mid-wave clearance duty. It's January sale right here as the clearance is fully coming on through. But the Drake should be taken down by Invincible. I believe the minions took a tower in the top lane there and are looking towards it inhib as Hard has had to go and answer that fact. You can see the tower incredibly low HP in the bottom lane as well. So those side waves doing serious work for NIP.
Yeah, it was very much helped by the fact that NIP did have a brief period of time with the last Baron buff that they could just all sit in different lanes and hit those towers, whittle them down. Inhib towers, yes, they regen over time, but it's a fairly slow thing. Those minion waves finishing off some of that dirty work, which has started a little earlier. The next work on the table, though, is setting up against, again, for this Baron, next one of the game, that'll probably be where the next hammer blow lands. Right now, vision control helped out by Maokai saplings, very much in NIP's favor. So what AL need to do, need to get real control of this mid lane wave if they can. They're trying to do another minion trick with the Nico. Not going to find anything at this point, but that's what AL are looking for. A big mid lane engage so they don't have to deal with all of this topside vision from NIP.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, though, as Invincible is just trying to ignore the Sion and go for the tower. Will be able to do so. So tower, take it down. He'll walk away with his life as well. And as he turns mini, he'll continue to threaten. iBoy trying to move down to the bottom side here to potentially get a pick onto the top laner. But the second iBoy shows up vision in the bottom side of the map, you know NIP will go for that Baron.
NIP, they have all the control they need right now. They just need to avoid those clutch engages, which they've fallen a little bit afoul of.
Look at the vision in the bottom side jungle as well. Invincible has so much information to play with. He's under no threat even with these hovers.
That could be so very important because it is that balancing act between top side of the map where you're trying to poke out, get control of that mid wave yourselves if you can, and then also buy space for Invincible. The side laning pressure really becoming very effective. Zora has ult, has flash, might be able to land a stun onto someone.
Look at Invincible. He just walked through the base because the top inhib's open as well. He can just sweep up this entire base. And in the meantime, AL, they're fighting for mid-prio for a Baron that realistically is just not even contestable anymore.
He's literally just there, like, I'm housekeeping. Did you leave a sign on the door? Well, he's there again, trying to go into 1v2 now.
Yeah, hops over the head of ZDZ. Xiao Hao will jump on in as well. Invincible about to turn Mega. He needs to turn Mega, and he does! Jumps away, whiffs the ultimate, finds a stun. Duo with a knock-up onto Xiao Hao. Can they turn it into a fight win? NIP 4v5 at this point. As Harder behind enemy lines gets onto Angel. The Pop Blossom on 3. This is the moment for AL if they can find Photic. But he's still going strong for now. ZDZ onto that back line.
Down.
3v2 Shadow, and Photic still pushing forwards as the recall from Angel has TP available and he wants to rejoin the fight. He's TPing behind enemy lines. It's no longer Harder on the flank. Angel's found his way into the fray once more. ZDZ, he started the fight with an ult and he'll end the fight with an ult as he leaves his jungler to die.
We've talked about Angel occasionally having those pop-off games, but asked for consistency, and this Jace has been consistently excellent in this first game. NIP, they have to brawl for it, but they're going to walk away with the first game.
Yeah, brawl is definitely the key word for this one. 30 kills in a 35-minute game. It was a quiet early game, but once we got to 20 minutes, nothing but teamfight. ZDZ surviving for now. Baron being used on the super minions. Can they actually end the game? Photic is here with the turret as well. Like you say, iBoy coming back up. One turret down. Should be two as well. They need to finish this Nexus off, but AL are moving on in. Invincible about to turn Mega. Zora's going to go down before the fight once again. As ZDZ tries to charge in. Harder's down though. And that'll be that. iBoy flashing onto the fountain. As NIP take game number 1.
Well, slow early game made up for by a pretty explosive mid and late game. I feel like Shadow has a very, very important early game to play out. You have to be able to, one, answer Xiaohao, but also get into one of these lanes, either onto this Annie or onto this Gangplank, and get kills and flashes away early to make sure that your top side of the map can start fighting, because there's a lot of damage from AL, and if they manage to escape up until level 6, I really feel like NIP can struggle.
So I've just had a little look at the stats. This is the first professional Gangplank game of the split. Aside from one game in the GLL, which I believe is the Greek league.
I know who that would have been. That would have been, was that Acidy who played that, ACD?
It was not. It was Sky Sunday.
Oh, okay, right. They actually have a load of GP mains randomly in that one ERL.
Yeah, it's a first strike angle, and it's the Essence Reeve and Devori Quick Blades, the kind of one-shot style where you're slamming out barrels and slamming out damage. Invincible going to have his work cut out. He locked in the Gnar in game number 1. That was against a Sion. This time, ZDZ bringing a bit of fire to that top lane with the Gangplank. We'll see if he can carry this one. We don't get many carry top laner games here in the LPL at the minute, and I'm excited to see what ZDZ can do with his hands on Gangplank.
Gangplank, if you manage to have a safe laning phase and you manage to escape those first few levels and don't get your flash blown, don't die, is such a menace. Heck, even if you do die multiple times early game, if the game extends long enough, we all know what a fed Gangplank can do. That'll be what AL would like to have in the back pocket to see if they can bring this to a game 3.
So here we go into the game. It's kind of an interesting draft, honestly, from anyone's legend, considering the fact that they went for the Xayah Rakan so early, and now we finish off with Viego and Gangplank in the top side. Not something I think many people at home would have been expecting today. On the side of NIP, relatively standard. Obviously, the Poppy coming on through as an answer to that Rakan, as an answer to Xiaohao's Viego as well. I don't think the most value I've seen in a Poppy pick, but I think you're pretty much just picking that for the Rakan, right?
I think you're picking it for your first 3 levels and your first 2 clears. I don't necessarily think it's great as the game goes on if you don't find that lead. As you said, the actual kind of anti-dash synergy is not completely there, but you do have the ability to...
And Photic now chasing down iBoy. Gravitum is there. iBoy low on HP, doesn't find the route himself, and Photic double Gravitum in. That's a heal come out from iBoy, forced to flash as well. Zora now next target, and here comes Shadow. iBoy no sums, gets splashed on Zora over the wall, Xiaohao over the wall. Every summoner under the sun popped by AL, and Shadow wants a little bit more.
Photo Control just destroyed a 2v3. Shadow picks up a kill from that too. What were we saying? We wanted to see Shadow with some early pressure, getting an early lead to keep ahead of the curve on this Poppy pick as well. He's handed that on a complete silver platter by this Aphelios Milio ridiculous combo.
Absolutely phenomenal stuff coming out. And this should have been a pretty clean dive. I like the idea of diving the Milio, but in execution, it's disastrous.
So, how does Zora pick a baggro here? He autos after the W misses. And as soon as that happens, I think you realize that the HP bars are just not there from AL to make anything work. Xiaohao loses the red buff some point as well, doesn't have that for the rest of that trade. And really good awareness from Photic and Jor to really make the most out of that situation.
Possible, going for ZDZ, forced to flash away here, and still just being absolutely beaten down by Invincible. But ZDZ not running. Why are you running into the wall?
I don't know. There are some things it's better off not knowing. Angel gets involved on the bot side of the map as well. Picks up the Dark Seal first item, immediately gets a kill. Wonderful stuff from the Snowball play on the Ahri in the mid lane too. Because you are at the level down already, you're level 6 to level 5, you know the extra CC is available. If you flash away and you trade flash for flash, I would imagine we're going to see this now, okay? So ZDZ, I think he's at a point where he doesn't know what's happening with the wave and he wants to shove that in. I think that's a very difficult point. I think if he manages to get a barrel onto the back minions, even then he doesn't kill them. It's just a bit of a misread and he's getting caught out again. ZDZ, buddy, what's happening?
Yeah, ZDZ is having a bit of an apple crumble this game. Oh, the slow doesn't land. Shadow, he's dead. Invincible gets himself second kill.
Angel has the spellbook, switched over to the Ignite. Can't use that to now teleport back onto the map, so has to kind of sit back in lane. It means that they're not available for something. Angel.
Ooh, that's a great charm. Harders underneath the tower. Tip is on cooldown here as Ignite comes down. Angel still has one more proc. Over Deception out. and flashes for it. Harder taken down as Angel finds himself a solo kill. Tibbers is real angry, but he won't find the kill. Have tried to put on that bottom lane. Invincible might be caught out on the top side. Flash for the stun. The Tibbers is there. Invincible going the wrong way on the map as well, and will be taken down. showdown takes the kill as the Herald gets its charge down in the mid lane, and Photic can continue that push, although iBoy's making a play, and here comes Zora as well. They don't find the kill, they don't find the moment. Shadow actually going underneath the tower. Everfrost from Angel, a good charm as well. But a stopwatch from Zora keeps himself alive. TP coming through as it Harder is behind, but misses his stun with the Incinerate.
One more charge.
Wants it. The charm actually lands. And Invincible here to follow up with a long-range damage. Can they finish the job? Tibbers to buy space. Calibrum dodged by Harder. And you have to... I feel like this is the kind of series where we're trying to calibrate expectations. I'll come back to this point as it was a good engage to start with, but the knockback from Dwarf ruins Zora.
It does, and also, I mean, you have the ultimate coming in from Emilio as well, so that's the cleanse coming through. The cleanse and the heal means that this stand and fight a Phalios type champion, you can sit there and
the W denies the engage from showdown. There's the follow for the rest of the team. Where did showdown go? What a combo from NIP. Beautifully played there. And turns out the misstep coming out from AL rather than NIP. And now Baron is on the map, and if the jungler picked off, it's free pickings.
Yeah, Act 2 once again, 20 minutes past, Baron on the table, and the first mistake beyond that 20-minute mark is weighing that much harder. Harder has that flash, using the extended blast cone to get into a better angle. Can he get here in time?
Baron on 3k, flashes in. Tibbers doesn't really do much, and Harder pretty much just dies in the Baron pit. Voting getting the kill as Joel was tanking Baron for a bit there. Angel wants a little bit more onto Zora, but is all on cooldown at this point. Zora will be able to get out with his life, I think. The flash charm at iBoy, but Featherstorm, good reactions there. But ZDZ will have to be the sacrificial lamb here, or will he? Trying to escape, but will not be able to get anywhere. And Angel
sees him.
He doesn't want to let them recall here. He's trying to find a moment. Everfrost comes
Empowered
through.
recalls.
They actually both got out.
It's the Zyra special recall. Because one of them started before the other, manages to tag onto that. Both of them get out alive. They're not going to, of course, be able to stop this Baron push coming through, but at least they managed to get themselves away with their lives. But that's been the story the entire game. AL fighting tooth and nail to just get away with their lives. Harder is in by himself again. And this is something that we picked up from the first game as well. Individually, okay play, gets a multi-man stun, but it's nowhere near to the rest of his team. The Gangplank ult very much helps as well in regards to trying to disengage that Baron. Doesn't stop it going down at the end of the day, though, and they lose some members on the retreat.
You can see... Oh. iBoy's died in the live version of the game here as the charm goes wide, and Zora chased out by Shadow. You could see the idea, right? You could see the idea from AL where Harder goes in, the Gangplank ult is there, and you can see Zora trying to make his way over as well, but he was slowed by Invincible as Shadow does get knocked up. Zora...
No one on NIP is coming, by the way. It's literally just Shadow chasing down the support. Everyone else is pushing mid-wave. They don't care to kill the Rakan.
I feel like at this point, though, is this actually positive for NIP? Like, I feel like Shadow being with the team as the kind of the front line for this squad maybe would be more valuable. But I guess when you're this strong, you got Baron.
Angle here.
Doesn't really
actually
matter.
Coming up behind them.
Wait
guys, you know Zora's here, right?
Quickness.
He's ulting.
Here we go, onto Photic, but he cleanses and he flashes and he just kills Zora instead!
Oh, no.
He just one-shots the guy, and it's a great little gnaw from Invincible as well. ZDZ next to full. I was excited for the Gangplank pick, but it has been disastrous this game.
I think Invincible was excited for that one too. Really, really wrecking that lane.
Yeah, yeah. This was nothing like game number one. This was brutal. This was... I don't know. AL going to be going back to the drawing board off of this one and wondering what went wrong, to be honest. But NIP looking fantastic. This early game was absolutely beautiful from them, punishing every single misstep. And the snowball was quick and decisive, right? Didn't give them a moment to breathe.
Really want to hone in on that as well, because part of that snowball came from, once again, on Angel. That Ahri was banned away first round bans in game one. And with that second game, you can really understand why. I don't often say this. I'm a big fan of how Angel builds Ari. He's throwing out some different items in there. He had a Lichbane game the other day as well. He's a Medjai's build, which I've always been a big proponent of. Sitting on early stopwatches would save you gold instead of building up into the full Zhonyas. It's the small things like this